Right now, somewhere in the world, a disaster is unfolding. A storm has knocked out the power grid. Supply chains have collapsed overnight. Store shelves have been wiped clean in hours. And the people who are eating tonight are the people who prepared. Most of us never think about our pantry as a survival tool. We think about it as a place to store leftovers and forgotten pasta boxes. But what if I told you that 13 specific canned foods, items you can buy today for just a few dollars each, could protect your family's health, energy, and mental stability for months? Not just survive, actually thrive. In this video, you're going to discover exactly which 13 canned foods deserve a permanent spot in your pantry, why each one was chosen, what it does for your body under pressure, and how it performs when fresh food is completely off the table. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, actionable blueprint to build a pantry that doesn't just store food, it stores security. Welcome to Food Decider, the channel where we help you make smarter decisions about what you eat, how you stock it, and why it matters. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a video. And if you find this useful, a like goes a long way. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with the foundation. When a crisis hits, your body's first demand is fuel, not comfort, not variety, raw, reliable energy. The foods in this first group are the ones that keep you physically functional, mentally sharp, and emotionally steady when everything around you is falling apart. These are your proteins and your energy powerhouses. Miss these and the rest of your pantry won't matter. The very first item on this list is something so simple, so cheap, and so underrated that most people walk past it without a second thought. Canned beans. And before you roll your eyes, stay with me because the nutritional profile of a single can of beans is genuinely staggering. Whether you're stocking lentils, chickpeas, black beans, or kidney beans, what you're getting is a near-perfect balance of plant-based protein, complex carbohydrates, and dietary fiber. That combination isn't just healthy, it's strategically brilliant in a crisis. Complex carbs release energy slowly and steadily, which means you're not spiking and crashing throughout the day. Fiber keeps your digestive system functioning, which becomes critically important when your diet suddenly becomes repetitive and heavy. And protein? Protein is what your muscles, your immune system, and your mental focus all run on. But beans go even further than that. They're packed with iron, magnesium, and B vitamins, nutrients that directly support your mood, your cognitive clarity, and your ability to handle stress. When anxiety is high and uncertainty is constant, the last thing you want is a nutritional deficiency quietly draining your ability to think and stay calm. Here's another reason beans earn the top spot. They don't require much to prepare. In a situation where gas or electricity is limited, you open the can and you eat. No long soaking, no hours of cooking. That simplicity is priceless. And with a shelf life ranging from 3 to 5 years, sometimes longer under ideal conditions, canned beans are one of the most dependable long-term investments you can make for your pantry today. Now, let's talk protein that goes even further, because while beans are incredible, your body also performs best with complete animal proteins, and the second item on this list delivers that in one of the most concentrated, nutritious packages available in a can. We're talking about canned salmon. Salmon gets overlooked in favor of tuna, and that's a mistake. Wild-caught canned salmon offers high-quality, complete protein with all essential amino acids, but it also delivers something tuna doesn't match at the same level, omega-3 fatty acids. And in a high-stress, low-variety survival situation, omega-3s are not a luxury, they are brain fuel. They protect cardiovascular health, reduce inflammation, support mental resilience, and help regulate mood. When stress hormones are elevated for days and weeks at a time, your brain is literally burning through more resources than normal. Omega-3s help keep that system from breaking down. There's also something people overlook when they open a can of salmon: the bones. They're soft, they're completely edible, and they are extraordinarily rich in calcium. When dairy is off the table and fresh vegetables are gone, those soft little bones become an unexpected but important source of a mineral your entire skeletal and muscular system depends on. Canned salmon is ready to eat straight from the can. Mix it with rice, shape it into improvised patties, or eat it on its own. It's a complete, satisfying meal in minutes. Yes, it costs more than a can of tuna, but the nutritional return on that investment makes it one of the smartest additions to any serious emergency pantry. And speaking of bang for your nutritional buck, let's talk about what might be the most underestimated can in existence: sardines in olive oil. Small, inexpensive, humble, and absolutely loaded. Sardines are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, and the fact that they come preserved in olive oil makes them even more valuable in an emergency. The oil itself adds caloric density, important when your energy expenditure is high and your food supply is limited. Beyond calories, sardines deliver protein, healthy fats, calcium, phosphorus, vitamin D, and selenium. Vitamin D supports bone health and immune function, and since you're unlikely to be getting much sunlight during a prolonged indoor emergency, getting it through food becomes essential. Selenium is a powerful antioxidant that protects your cells and strengthens your immune response. The oil itself they're packed in serves double duty. It preserves the fish, and it can be used as a condiment or cooking aid on its own. Pour it over rice, drizzle it on bread, or mix it into whatever you're preparing. Nothing goes to waste. Sardines are ready to eat immediately. They mix effortlessly into salads, rice, or cold soups, and their shelf life matches their nutritional value, lasting well beyond what most people expect. Don't let the simplicity fool you. This is a powerhouse in a small package. Now, the fourth protein source on this list is one that genuinely surprises people, not because it's exotic, but because almost nobody thinks to include it in their emergency pantry, and yet it checks every single box you'd want in a crisis food. That food is canned hummus. Hummus, ready to eat, no heating required, no preparation necessary. Open the can and you have a complete, deeply satisfying food that provides plant-based protein, dietary fiber, heart-healthy fats from olive oil and tahini, calcium, and iron, all in one serving. The combination of chickpeas and tahini creates a protein profile that approaches completeness, and the fat content provides lasting satiety that prevents the constant hunger that can mentally wear you down in a long emergency. It's more expensive than a basic can of beans, that's true, but the convenience, the nutritional depth, and the morale boost eating something genuinely enjoyable rather than just functional, that has real value that goes beyond the price tag. Once you've secured your protein and energy sources, the next priority is something most survival pantries get dangerously wrong. People stock calories. They forget micronutrients. Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, the invisible architecture your body needs to stay strong, fight infection, and hold together under pressure. The foods in this section are the ones that fill those gaps, and some of them will genuinely surprise you. Start with something almost everyone already has in their kitchen: canned tomatoes. But let's reframe how you think about them, because they're doing far more work than most people realize. Canned tomatoes are one of the most reliable sources of vitamin C available in non-perishable form. Vitamin C is critical for immune function, collagen production, wound healing, and iron absorption. When fresh fruits and vegetables disappear, your vitamin C intake can drop alarmingly fast, and deficiency sets in faster than most people expect. A can of tomatoes addresses that gap directly. Then there's lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that actually becomes more bioavailable when tomatoes are cooked and processed, meaning canned tomatoes deliver more of it than raw ones. Lycopene supports cardiovascular health, protects against oxidative stress, and contributes to long-term cellular resilience. But here's the dimension of canned tomatoes that no nutrition label captures: morale. In a survival situation, food isn't just fuel, it's emotional grounding. The familiar smell and taste of tomato sauce, even over plain rice or beans, activates comfort. It reminds your brain of normal life. It reduces the psychological weight of an abnormal situation. Never underestimate what a recognizable flavor can do for a person who's been eating the same bland food for days. Next up, canned corn with peppers, a combination that earns its spot on this list by delivering two very different but complementary things at once. The corn provides fast-absorbing carbohydrates, immediate energy that fights off the mental and physical fatigue that sets in when you're running on a depleted, repetitive diet. The peppers contribute a meaningful hit of vitamin C and antioxidants that work alongside everything else you're stocking. There's also a sensory value to this combination that's easy to dismiss, but genuinely important. The sweet crunch of corn, the bright color, the hint of pepper.
These things simulate freshness. They trick your brain, just a little, into feeling like the meal in front of you is closer to normal. In a prolonged emergency, that psychological lift is not trivial. Mental fatigue and hopelessness are real threats, and varied, stimulating food actively pushes back against them. Now let's talk about what might be the single most overlooked category in survival food planning. If you were to audit the average prepper's pantry, you'd find plenty of beans, rice, and canned meat. You'd find very little of this: canned leafy greens. Spinach, Swiss chard, kale, escarole, these are the multivitamins hiding in plain sight on grocery store shelves, and almost nobody stocks them. Yet they carry exactly the nutrients that a bean and rice-heavy diet leaves critically short on. We're talking about vitamin K, which is essential for blood clotting and bone metabolism, iron in a highly absorbable form, calcium that supports muscles, nerves, and skeletal structure, and fiber that keeps your gut functioning smoothly when your overall diet has become constipated with starches and legumes. When deficiencies in these nutrients set in, and they will, within weeks in a diet that ignores vegetables, the effects are not subtle. Fatigue deepens, immunity weakens, wounds heal more slowly, muscles cramp, mood deteriorates. Canned leafy greens cost almost nothing, last between 3 and 10 years depending on conditions, and they are the single most direct intervention against the hidden nutritional collapse that happens in underprepared pantries. Moving on to a can that most people associate with Thanksgiving pies, but whose potential in a survival pantry is almost entirely untapped. Canned pumpkin puree is, nutritionally speaking, one of the most well-rounded vegetables you can store. The fiber in pumpkin is primarily soluble fiber, the kind that forms a gel in your digestive tract, slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and creates lasting satiety without heaviness.
When your diet is built around dense starches and legumes, soluble fiber is exactly what your gut needs to stay balanced and comfortable. Digestive discomfort in an already stressful situation is not a minor inconvenience. It actively affects morale, sleep, and cognitive performance. Beyond fiber, pumpkin delivers vitamin A in the form of beta-carotene, essential for immune function, healthy vision, and cellular repair. A single serving provides far more than your daily requirement. It also contains potassium, which regulates muscle function and helps with hydration, and its flavor is mild and slightly sweet, which opens up applications that heavier canned vegetables can't provide. Mixed into oatmeal in the morning, stirred into a savory soup, or thickened as the base of an improvised bread or cake when morale needs a boost. And then there's a can that almost everyone ignores, both in everyday life and in emergency planning, despite having one of the most unique physiological profiles on this entire list: canned beets. Beets contain naturally occurring nitrates, compounds that the body converts into nitric oxide, which relaxes and dilates blood vessels. What that means in practical terms is improved circulation, better oxygen delivery to muscles and the brain, lower blood pressure, and meaningfully increased physical and mental endurance. These are not marginal benefits. When you're potentially engaged in physically demanding activities during a crisis, carrying supplies, walking long distances, managing manual labor, the difference in energy and stamina that better oxygenation provides is real and significant. Beets are also ready to eat straight from the can, no preparation, no cooking. They add sweetness, color, and variety to a meal that might otherwise be monotonous to the point of demoralizing. Their shelf life stretches up to 5 years, and their cost is minimal. For what they offer physiologically, they deserve far more respect than they receive. You've covered your proteins, you've covered your micronutrients. Now we get to the layer that most pantry strategies completely ignore, and it's the one that turns a basic collection of canned goods into a genuinely complete, long-term nutritional system. This section is about fats, liquids, caloric multipliers, and the foods that bring everything else together. These are the enhancers, and without them, even the best-stocked pantry has blind spots. The first one is something that might seem unusual in an emergency context, but becomes indispensable the moment refrigeration disappears: canned coconut milk. Here's the reality that most people don't think about until it's too late. In a crisis, fat is as critical as protein. Fat is caloric density. It is the macronutrient that provides more than twice the energy per gram compared to carbohydrates or protein.
When food is scarce and portions are reduced, fat keeps you from running a caloric deficit that would gradually break down muscle tissue and impair immune function. Coconut milk provides its fat primarily in the form of medium-chain triglycerides, which are metabolized quickly and efficiently, meaning the energy is available faster than from most other fat sources. It also contains electrolytes, potassium and magnesium, which support hydration at a cellular level. When water quality is uncertain or availability is limited, maintaining electrolyte balance becomes a genuine health priority. And then there's what coconut milk does to the experience of eating. A can of plain rice is sustenance. A can of rice cooked with coconut milk is a meal. It transforms texture, adds creaminess, and creates warmth and satisfaction in a way that plain water simply cannot. That transformation, repeated across days and weeks, makes a profound difference to mental resilience. Always opt for full fat, not light. The caloric and nutritional value of the light version simply doesn't justify the shelf space. Next is a product that often surprises people but that belongs in every serious emergency pantry, especially in households with children, elderly members, or anyone with digestive sensitivity: evaporated goat milk. Goat milk is naturally easier to digest than cow's milk. Its fat globules are smaller and its protein structure is subtly different, which means it moves through the digestive system more gently, an important advantage when stress is already disrupting gut function. It's rich in calcium, potassium, and healthy fats, and because it's evaporated and concentrated, a single can goes a long way. Diluted with water for drinking, added directly to soups and sauces, stirred into improvised bread doughs, or used as a base for porridge. For vulnerable members of the household, young children who need calcium for growth, older adults who need it for bone density, anyone whose digestion has been weakened by stress or illness, evaporated goat milk is one of the most quietly powerful tools you can have on your shelf. It lasts 5 years or more when properly stored, and its versatility makes it one of the highest value cans per dollar in this entire list. Now for the item on this list that generates the most curiosity when people first encounter it. It looks like it belongs in a specialty food store, but its role in a long-term survival pantry is both practical and psychologically profound: green jackfruit in brine. Jackfruit, for those unfamiliar, is a large tropical fruit. When it's harvested young, green, unripe, it has a neutral flavor and a fibrous texture that, when drained and shredded, bears a striking resemblance to pulled chicken or shredded pork. This is not a gimmick. It genuinely mimics the texture of meat in a way no other plant-based food does, and that matters enormously in a crisis context. Here's why. Food fatigue is a real psychological phenomenon. After days or weeks of eating the same flavors and textures, appetite drops, motivation declines.
People start eating less than they need simply because nothing feels worth eating. Jackfruit breaks that pattern. It can be seasoned to taste like a curry, a stew, a taco filling, or a traditional family recipe because it absorbs whatever flavors it's cooked with. That ability to revive familiar dishes from memory using pantry staples is not just culinary cleverness, it is a genuine mental health intervention. Beyond its textural utility, jackfruit provides dietary fiber that supports digestion and satiety with a modest caloric load that makes it ideal as a component in mixed meals rather than a standalone food. It lasts 2 to 5 years, and as it becomes more widely available, the price continues to drop. And finally, last on the list, but genuinely one of the most underestimated nutritional tools available at any price point: blackstrap molasses. This is not the mild, sweet molasses used in baking. Blackstrap is the darkest, most concentrated form, the byproduct remaining after sugar has been extracted 3 times from sugarcane. What's left is extraordinary: iron, magnesium, potassium, calcium, and vitamin B6, all in meaningful quantities. A single tablespoon of blackstrap molasses contains more iron than many cuts of red meat. For women, children, and anyone at risk of anemia, which becomes a growing concern when diet quality declines over weeks, that iron content is potentially life-changing.
Unlike refined sugar, blackstrap molasses releases energy slowly and steadily, preventing the spikes and crashes that refined sweeteners cause. It supports digestion, improves gut motility, and can even be dissolved in warm water as a mineral-rich drink when food options are extremely limited. It adds depth and richness to oatmeal, breads, and warm beverages, contributing both flavor and function to meals that might otherwise feel empty. It stores for years. If it thickens or crystallizes, gentle warming restores its texture completely. And because it's consumed in small doses, a tablespoon at a time, a single jar lasts far longer than its size suggests. Dollar for dollar, nutrient for nutrient, blackstrap molasses is one of the most efficient purchases you can make for your emergency pantry. So there you have it, 13 canned foods, each one chosen not just for calories, but for the full picture. Protein, micronutrients, healthy fats, digestive support, mental resilience, and long-term shelf stability. Together, they don't just keep you alive, they keep you strong. Here's the thing about preparedness that most people miss. It isn't about fear. It isn't about expecting the worst. It's about having the freedom to face uncertainty without panic, because you've already done the work. The people who suffer most in a crisis aren't just the ones who ran out of food, they're the ones who ran out of options. Start building your pantry now, not all at once. Even adding 2 or 3 of these cans per week builds a meaningful reserve in just a few months. Rotate your stock, check your dates, and know that every can on that shelf is a quiet act of intelligence and care for the people you love. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. It genuinely helps more people find content like this. Subscribe to Food Decider for more deep dives into food strategy, nutrition, and smart decision making. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. The best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is right now.